guys, it's Kevin with Spirit of Twilight, and today I want to talk about a book review, one that is long overdue. We're going to be talking about The Horn God of the Witches by Jason Mankey, and I have this on my Kindle, as you can see, so I do not have a paper copy of this book to show you any of the information inside. But The Horn God of the Witches was written and published in 2001. And Jason Mankey can be followed on Twitter at Pan Mankey. That is his handle on Twitter if you'd like to follow him. Covering in the book itself, there's quite a bit of information, and a lot of it has to do with the history of any horned god that is in relation to any occult. It's also in relation to any mythological creatures. But I just wanted to go over the table of contents a little bit and maybe discuss a little bit about it. It is a very, very good book if you're interested in this sort of thing. He talks about in his introduction finding the horned god, and that is within yourself, and also how you can see him present himself to you and the way he presents himself to you, because there are many horn gods that are out there in mythology. The nature of deity is the nature of the horn god himself. He is a god of nature, of the woods, of animals, depending on which path or which piece of work you're reading, such as Greek mythology and ancient history, which actually the next chapter is myth and ancient history, and that happened to be one of my favorite parts of the book because I do love history, as many of you do know. There is a chapter 3 where he discusses ritual to meet the horn god, and that is a little intense as far as I'm concerned. I usually don't do ritual, at least not any type of high level magic per se. But it is quite interesting if you're interested in trying that or working with the horn god through magic. The next chapter, it talks about antlers, horns, and phalluses in the ancient world, which is the symbology of the horn god himself, or herself, because according to the author Jason Mankey, he has advised that the horn god not only appears in male but also female form. So that's something very interesting to read about as well. He goes into the antlers based on the gods like Cernonos and also Pan from Greek mythology or Roman mythology. But he goes into the history of the ancient cultures and how far they go back in history, which is before the time of Christ, for the most part. He goes into chapter 6 with igniting the fire ritual for 2, which to me, from what I gather, and it is pretty black and white, that he is talking about ritual as far as sex magic is concerned with your partner. He does go into ways that it can be a heterosexual couple or a homosexual couple, or if it is a non-monogamous relationship where there are multiple partners involved. He teaches you how to navigate the body of your partner into ecstasy and how to bring forward the horn god into that whole process. The next chapter is Cernonos. It focuses basically on Cernonos, which is the most popular horn god of probably the entire book besides Pan. Cernonos, he even says that there isn't a picture, an exact picture of what he would have looked like, so we have to make assumptions, but at the same time, people have painted a picture of him and published that and made paintings and so on and so forth. So that's what we would actually go by. I believe as well there is some pieces about cave drawings and from ancient times to where what he would have looked like, but there's very few of those available to really go by any sort of definitive type of picture of what he would actually look like as we would see him today or with our naked eye. The next portion, which is chapter 8, goes into a devotional altar for Cernonos. So it goes into how you would actually place an altar for him to show appreciation for the Horn God if you are going to work with or worship Cernonos. Some people do, some people don't. Then he goes into another horn god, which is another god of the forest, the green man. He goes into architecture of churches, of old libraries, of, especially in Europe, you could find a lot of the green man faces in a lot of architecture that you would see. I forget which time period that's from, but I believe it's from Renaissance, I believe. Don't quote me on that. The next chapter is about Herne the Hunter and Ellen of the Ways, or Elan of the Ways. I'm really not good with names, so bear with me with a grain of salt. That would be in relation to the same thing where Cernonos is the hunter, the green man in the woods, has horns. It's the same type of thing as far as the horn god is concerned overall, which is the title of the book. Then we go into the Rebirth of Pan in chapter 11, which is one of my favorites because I've always loved Greek and Roman mythology. So that's something that I looked forward to reading when I started reading this book and I picked it up. There's also the next chapter, which is called the Devilish Horn God, and that's in relation to Christianity, where they associate any type of horn god of the forest, whether it be Cernonos or Pan or what have you, or the Green Man, into the devil himself. And based on what you believe and what you don't believe, that could be true, it could not be true, based on your own thoughts of how that actually works, if it's true or not. Then you're looking at the next chapter, which is also about Devilish Horn God, which you could also relate to Lucifer, the Light of Lucifer ritual. Now, I was interested in reading this because I've always had an interest in Lucifer because of his story in the Bible itself. It's quite interesting how he rebelled and said he wasn't going to follow rules and so on and so forth. He would follow some of them, but not all of them. What's very interesting is this ritual also contains an element of truth. So he warns you in advance before you do this that if you attempt to do this ritual, you should expect some truth. If you're not ready for the exact truth of this ritual from Lucifer, do not perform the ritual. In chapter 15, we're looking at John Barleycorn ritual. Now, this one I kind of skipped over because I wasn't really interested in this particular chapter, just because he is a myth, and although I like the idea of what Jason had brought forward within the book, it just wasn't of interest to me. But you may find this more interesting than I did. A lot of people may. I have my personal preference, you have yours. That's basically what it boils down to. Now there is chapter 16, which is Horn God to the God in Wicca, and that explains how the Horn God himself, Pan, Cernonos, the Green Man, so on and so forth, brings himself into the Wicca religion and how it relates to Wiccans as far as in the Coven or solitary practitioners, so on and so forth, and how they incorporate the Horn God into their practice or their religion. On chapter number 17, we have the Witch Father, traditional witchcraft, And I've read a book. If you read the there was a book I did a review on. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a lot to do with traditional witchcraft and also new ways or modernizing witchcraft. He talked about the witch father, and that was the first time I ever heard of it, which is quite interesting. But this is a good chapter to read also. And then the final chapter in the book, before you get to any type of indexes, so on and so forth, is Ritual to Meet the Witch Father. Now this is something I read in another book, and I was pretty familiar with it as I was reading it in Jason Mankey's book. But it is very interesting if you're looking to either practice or if you're looking into just having the knowledge about it. It's a very good thing to read as well. Again, this is a book by Jason Mankey. It's called The Horn God of the Witches. It was published in 2021, and you can follow Jason on Twitter at Pan Mankey. That is his handle on Twitter. If you like this video, certainly go ahead and click on subscribe for my other book reviews, and also I do jewelry designs, which is hand wrapped jewelry. Click on the like button, please. Share this with your friends and family who may enjoy this content, and I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye.